Hello, 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 and welcome or welcome back. I'm Shakia, and in this episode, we're gonna do it. We're gonna talk about love without borders. Oh my heavens. Have you been watching? Just when you think these shows couldn't get any more ridiculous, just when you think it's not possible, they say, wait a minute, and then there's one more. And then there's one more. And when I say ridiculous, I'm still gonna watch. When I say ridiculous, I mean ridiculous because it's like, what the heck are you people thinking? Are you really gonna go along with this? And what are you producers and creators of the show? What? You guys came up with this concept? Okay, I'm conflicted because I think I might like the concept, but I think I like it because it's like, well, what's going to happen? Are these people really going to give up their lives? There is no way. But let me back up. Let me back up. Just in case you are not familiar. The show is it's as if Married at First Sight, 90 Day Fiance, and Love is Blind all got together and had a baby. And if they had a baby, it would be Love Without Borders. This show takes 5 Americans and it drops them off all across the world looking for love. And I'm watching and I'm like, what? It's an interesting concept. It really is. And a good social experiment. It really is. But it's like, should we be doing this? Should we be doing this? Because not only are they sending these people to other countries to find love with a complete stranger, they have them living together. And when I heard that these people are going to move in with one another, what? Like they are moving into their house and into the homes of the person that they're matched with. Now, at least, I would say at least 90 Day Fiance, you get to know each other first, but that's after y'all get married. So I don't know if that's much better. But it is ridiculous. And I'm like, oh my heavens, you are really, that's bold. Let me tell you something. That takes a lot of guts to be able to do that. We can sit here and crack jokes about it, but it does take guts to be like, you know what? I want to find love and I believe that it is possible and I believe that there is somebody out there for me that I am willing to take this risk. A risk that is huge because not only are they leaving, but they are giving up homes and apartments and jobs and rearranging schedules to be able to work remotely, which that one works, But for the other people, I'm like, there is no way you are really going to give up your home and your job or sell your home. And one lady, she lives in a van, which I love van life. I think one day y'all gonna get a video like surprise. But I enjoy van life and her van was so cute. But she sold the van, she gutted the van, and I assume she sold it. But they give up their possessions and they leave. So we're introduced when the show first starts, we are introduced to Gurleen. And Gurleen lives in California. She works in the tech space and she has these, I think, 2 dogs that she's very attached to. She says she thinks she might be codependent, and I'm like, well, girl, if you're codependent on these dogs, how are you going off somewhere unknown in the world and leaving leaving your dogs behind? Which that was very hard for her. So when the matchmaker Erica, when she shows up to Gurleen's apartment, to Gurleen's home, and she says, it's time, because when Erica shows up, that means you have to be ready, you have to pack and get on the plane. And when you get to the airport, that's when she hands you your boarding pass. And that's when she says, this is where you are going. So when it was Gurleen's time to pack up and to head out, Homegirl was like, wait a minute, I need a minute. I need a minute. This is too much for me. This is too much. because I think it all started to hit her and she started to become very anxious and overwhelmed, as I would be when you're talking about giving up all of your life to go somewhere, to go to a different country for love, but it's with a person you have not met. You don't know anything about this person. You hanging on, you flying over there with a hope and a prayer. You're like, Lord, or whoever. You're like, universe, let it be so, let it be so. So she gets really anxious and she says, I need a minute. So Erica, the matchmaker, she goes upstairs. She follows behind Gurleen and she says, no cameras are here, but the mics are on. So it's like, girl, this isn't really a private conversation. And Gurleen just says, I'm anxious and it's all hitting me, which is to be expected. Fast forward, they get to the airport. Erica hands Gurleen her boarding pass and she says, "This is where you're going." Gurleen opens it up and she's like, "Oh wow, I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't expect this." And so homegirl is being sent to Dubai. Now, when she gets to Dubai, a woman opens the door and she's like, "It's a woman." And she's like, "This is unexpected." And then a man comes and she goes, "Oh, okay." Because she was just like, and her face was like, "What? I don't know. I'm unsure of this. I'm not sure." Um, and so then a man comes and she's like, "Oh, okay." The person that Gurleen is matched with is Shreyas. Shreyas. We're gonna go with Shreyas. Okay. And when he comes, I'm like, "Oh, this man is handsome." He's like tall and he has good bone structure. He has this like long hair going, which normally I'm like, but it looks good on him. And, and he has this beard and these muscles. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she says, he looks like Thor. I'm not really attracted to him. What? And I'm just like, oh, okay. Wow. We all have different tastes here. We all have different tastes apparently. But Gurleen does say, so he is Shreyas is Indian and so is Gurleen, and but she says she mostly dated white men. And one of the reasons why she was interested in doing this social experiment is because she felt that where she lived in San Diego, there wasn't a lot of diversity, and people just weren't as open people weren't as open as she would have liked them to be, and so she wanted to try something different. And so she gets matched with somebody else who's Indian who lives in Dubai. Now, not only does this woman fly across the globe to go meet this man that she doesn't know, she also meets his family. She meets his sister. Remember, the sister was the one who came to the door. She meets the mother, the father, and they all live together. And now Gurleen is very independent. And we heard her story. She didn't really have a close relationship with her family. She felt that for so long she had to be a people pleaser, and in her words she had to be the good Indian girl, and she didn't want to live like that anymore, and she had lived on her own for a very long time. And so now she's put in a situation where she has to live with this man's family. Again, she doesn't know him, she doesn't know the family, and she said she felt like she was back in that role of having to be like the good girl again, because they were asking her questions and you can tell she was like agreeing, and they were like, "Oh, how do you feel about living with the family?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's nice." Uh-huh. But really she's like, "I want my own space. I don't want to be here with y'all. Y'all seem nice, y'all seem cool, but I want my own space." Also, it's like, what if all of them, right? Like imagine, because this show is wild. So imagine the cameras go away and like all of them are just like not, they don't have it all. Mm. Because now you got to worry about not, you have to worry about can you trust one person, but now you not only have to worry about can you trust one person, you have to worry about can you trust the whole family. I don't know. This show, the idea of it, like I said, my psych brain, I'm like, that's kind of, it's a cool experiment. I don't know how ethical it would be. Like we couldn't do that, right? But in terms of research, but the media gets away with it. But it's also anxiety provoking because you're asking these people to change their entire lives in a matter of hours because when Erica the matchmaker shows up, you have to be ready to go. Now, I imagine that they say it that way on the show, but I'm almost certain they give them, well, it's still a matter of hours because I think for Gurleen, she said you have 2 hours, but I would imagine it's a little bit more. I'm going to hope so. Nonetheless, listen, I guess that's part of the experiment. So, anyway, so she is introduced to the family and she is overwhelmed, and you can tell she is overwhelmed. She's so used to being independent and taking care of everything herself to now having to share space, share an apartment with all these other people. And so it was a lot for her. We're going to fast forward now to, I think, episode 2, I want to say, where she gets introduced to Shreyas' friends, and at first everything's going well. It's a social gathering, and they're drinking and laughing, having fun. And then it's time, I think they transition from being outside to going inside. And so she starts cleaning up and she's like, I want to be a good guest. And she starts cleaning up and like they have a fit. They're like, no, 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 no. You don't do that. We have help for that. The help does that. And I'm like, "Ooh, this makes me, I don't know, I don't know if I like that, right?" The way it was said. And then, but Shreyas was saying, like, you have to understand how things are done here. Like, most people they do have help around, their homes. And so if you are cleaning up, then it looks as if the host didn't hire good, good help. And she's like, "That no," she's like, "No." And she's picking up the plates and taking things, to the kitchen and trying to be a good guest. And that would be fine in the States for the most part, where you go somewhere and you're at, a friend's house and you all are gonna head inside. And so you start cleaning up. You don't leave the area messy. But there they were like, no, 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 no. And I was just like, all right, maybe that's a bit too much for, like, I get what they're saying, but she's not hurting anybody. But I guess, so many people are worried about perception, right? Well, how does this look? But listen, Gurleen was like, mm-mm, y'all, nobody's telling me what to do. And here's the thing about Gurleen. I think that her independence is what's going to be the main issue between her and her match, because sometimes you can be so independent that you forget the benefit of having a partner because you've been doing everything on your own for so long. And that seems to be Gurleen. And I want to say, girl, it's okay to allow somebody into your life. Now, granted, they just met, right? She's gonna be with him for 90 days, but I'm hoping that during that 90 days, she allows herself to experience what a partnership can look like, because it seems with the person who she was matched with, he wants that. And he comes from a very close family, hence they still live together, and he said he enjoys living with them. He does have a sister who is 26 and she's getting married, and I believe she's going to be moving out with her husband, but he enjoys being around his family. They're close knit. They have a healthy, well, they have a positive relationship with one another. And Berlin didn't have that. And so the difference in backgrounds could be something that stops them from moving forward, especially because she has the mindset that she has to do everything on her own. So I'm hoping that she is open enough to receive the love, the support, the help from her partner if they, develop that type of relationship. Because at this point, she said she wasn't attracted to him. She said she wasn't attracted to him. She did say he had a nice body, but she also said that she didn't believe in love at first sight, which, okay, I totally understand that. She doesn't believe in love at first sight, and she believes that attraction can grow. So as long as she's open to it, as long as she is genuinely open to creating a connection with him, then I think they are off to a good start. But if she does not work on this, need to always be the person in control and to always be independent and not allow other people to help and not allow this potential partner to help her, then I don't think it's gonna go very far. If you have watched the show, what do you think about Gurleen? Because I have mixed emotions about her. Obviously, listen, so I'm a hopeless romantic and I want all these people to find love and I want it to be genuine. And so sometimes I do watch these shows because I'm like, oh, please, I just want y'all to be happy with each other. Uh, but in reality, like, we know that that's probably not the case. They also have to make TV, right? They're making a show. And so there are going to be moments that are probably going to be produced. Hopefully, this isn't a heavily produced show, hopefully. But anyway, also with Gurleen, she and her match decided to move out. So at first he was like, I'm not going to change for anybody. My family is above everybody. And then they have a talk and he says, you know what? If I'm going to be all in, then perhaps we do need time alone. And so now she's there maybe 10 days and she and her match are looking for a place together so that they can get to know each other one on one instead of her having to always maybe like put on, you put on a little bit for the family, or she doesn't want to fall into the role of like yes and being a people pleaser when it comes to the family and the elders, right? Um, but also she wants to be able to have time to connect with him one on one. So I thought that was an interesting move. Makes sense. Again, I'm always just thinking about safety in the back of my head for all of these couples, for all of them. Now, they fast forward to the most recent episode, episode 4. They find an apartment. It's a 2-bedroom apartment. It's a cute apartment. It comes furnished, and so it works out great. They have a month-to-month lease. They come into the apartment. She's like, all right, I'm gonna go pack. I'm gonna go unpack. She says, I'm going into my room. And so they have separate rooms. And she goes into her room and she starts to organize her things. And he's like, well, I didn't expect that. Like, I didn't expect her to just go to sleep on the first night in the apartment together. So we will see what happens with Gurleen and her match. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think this was a good match? Do you think they will work out? Do you think that this show is ridiculous, but in a good way, perhaps? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Come on back for the next one. But until then, bye for now.